So I'd like to move now to the discussion of a follow-up. The slides that you've seen presenting research were designed to uncover, calculate what is the research telling us that we can enjoy in terms of financial benefits, and who's going to enjoy those on the project. And that should help us create a strategy. But as Andy's talking about, it's about people. People have been working the old way for a long time, and they're trying to learn new technology, learn a new tablet, learn how to communicate, create new deliverables, work in different collaborative settings. So I'd like to introduce the word tension, and I think it's appropriate, and I think it's delicate. But what I find that a lot of my audience 4 and 5 years ago was the technical person. And the technical person was asking me to do some research to come up with a return on investment methodology so that they could explain to their executives why they needed to have money in order to invest in BIM. It's because I can give you a return on that investment. Which I'm still doing, but I'm also saying it's not a bad idea to introduce tension in the room with the executive team. And when I do it, I'm not suggesting it should sound like this in every room around the country or around the world, but it sounds like this. I think we're wasting money. I think we're wasting money on rework. I think we can get the owner to pay for it sometime, but that's not an enduring strategy for this company. It's not what we believe in as a company. I think we are wasting our owner's money, and if we don't figure out a way to save that, then somebody else will. We can calculate the money. The research backs up our calculations. Let's go start working in this way and measure our success. Go tell the owner to come on in. We're going to go over our calculations with you. Maybe we'll facilitate a workshop with the owner together. But, so here's that little piece of tension. I want to push us to be better, to push us to set the bar. And this is why I like performance measurement. I set the bar in these categories where we have some research that tells us we ought to be able to reduce by 50%, but another guy's getting 72%. What are we going to do in terms of reduction of RFIs and change orders, improvement in quality? How can we measure that? So it sets up the next word, which is challenge. Let's introduce the notion that we are not as good as our marketing says we are. Oh, yeah, we have everything. Oh, let's challenge ourselves to be better. And in this word connection, I think what you're seeing on your projects is a human evolution. I know that what I grew up feeling was designers thought I was greedy, and all my people in construction thought designers were dreamers. Well, that's 40 years ago, that's what it was. We made money on change orders, but that's because we were suffering from, a lot of times you can't make it all back. Change orders are so disruptive, it's hard to prove how much you actually got damaged. But this word connection is something that I'm encouraging folks to talk about in the follow-up. I'm also saying, okay, if around the world owners are saying, you're going to do BIM for me now, and you have this opportunity to be proactive or reactive. So this is just a simple little calculation that I did for one customer, which I've I've taken the name out of here. But the difference between implementing aggressively in 2013 versus 2014. The one is more aggressive and just going after these savings and their portion of it. The contractor's portion of the 17 million that this analysis came up with, I think is under 10%. But the contractor's portion on a lot of projects is about 16 or 17%. But whatever that proportion is, this was a portfolio study and showed a more aggressive approach, actually saving on the projects 3.68 million over a 5-year window. And then if you are saving that money as a contractor, are you able to pocket it all? Well, you can't if your competition is right on your tail. So this is just one diagram. It's worth thinking about. It's very worthwhile thinking about how much you spend to win work. And this word, to me, is fundamental. I think Andy's having a great time. He's a combination of technically strong, socially gifted, and you love construction.
Having a great time. I've been doing this on one side of the fence or another for 30 years, and I'm having the most fun right now.
So in 1997, we were working together, and Andy's out there in the field. He's the architect on the job site, co-located with the team, and I think he can make it fun. And I think we as partners, when we develop a partnership, we talk about fun. I think we ought to talk about it more often. There's no reason why we can't have little tablet-based games. You know, hey, here's a model. I just emailed you a model. One of the classrooms has something on the whiteboard in the model, a message for you. How fast can you find it? But you know, if you can't find it, have your 7-year-old show it to you. I think we can make it fun. I think it certainly. I feel like there are people out there that dread this, that they fear this, and I think it's a management issue. But I think it is a good time to think about it and make it fun. And on this performance measurement thing, I'm seeing the very elite around the world get excited about performance. So they got excited about the potential of BIM, and it maybe came from this kind of gut feel, or they had a geometry challenge like the Denver Art Museum or something like that that kicked them into BIM. But then they saw this opportunity, and now they saw this collaborative BIM versus lonely BIM, and now they saw the owner's opportunity, so they were selling the idea to their customers, and then they said, we are performing better than our competition. They're telling us, the world, that they do BIM, but I think we do BIM better. So let's measure our performance, compare it with the research, and so we see this setting of performance targets. And by the way, every executive that I see around the world now, I say the same thing. Don't create a BIM initiative. Create a performance initiative. And use BIM, the way a pole vaulter uses a pole to get over the bar. The bar is set, and he uses pole to get over the bar, but it's about getting over the bar. And so we see some customers really excited about this. So this is down the road, but I think you can start as soon as you get your forward-looking calculations of the potential savings. The next question everybody's going to ask, 24 months from now, did we save the money, yes or no? And so this performance measurement is showing sophistication. I know Consigli has it, and I'm going to show you just an example. This is now publicly available. I mean, it's a company that invested in BIM, got good at BIM, said our performance has improved, let's measure it, and now they've decided to publish it. Excuse me, so this is Mortensen. I'm sorry that you can get your own copy of this. There's a short version and a long version. But I'll just show you some of the highlights of this. 32 days of average schedule reduction due to VDC. The virtual design and construction for them has been 25% and more productivity increase. So this, you can see how these results are exciting for a certain crowd. The green is exciting for the owner, because that's money that they're going to get in terms of revenue. The subcontractors, especially if they can predict this productivity increase, the owners may be excited about that, the general contractor may be excited about that, but you have to be excited if you're a trade contractor. Now, Mortensen does a lot of self-perform work. So when their productivity goes up in concrete form work, they pocket a lot of money, or they turn it into competitive advantage. And 2.95 average direct cost reduction. So this is not include the indirect cost, but a 3%, almost 3% average savings. So that would be $7.5 million on your $250 million project. So these are 18 case studies. You can read about them, each individual project and the story behind each one and how they came up with these. But it shows to me a quite impressive sophistication. So when I say the coaching for executives for me is really simple. Don't create a BIM initiative. It's too easy for me to push back. Oh, we never had BIM in the old days and we used to make a fine profit. Well, okay, it's not the old days, and I'm not asking you to use BIM. If you can find another way to get this performance, if you can save 17 million on 250 million, I don't care if you use a broom. But the crafting this worthwhile initiative is what I showed you early on, this list of defining the current state. So the relationship that I would like to have with my customers, and I encourage our partners to have locally with the local customer, is create that fabric of the relationship that allows you to go through the calculations. So do the background as much as you can, understanding your current environment. And maybe there's some academic research. One of the things you can do is get your hands on a couple of these research papers and just let folks read them. Get them started. Maybe there's a free viewer and you can pick a model off the web somewhere and have them fly around the model and just begin to have an understanding of what BIM is and what are the results that are coming in around the world. And what does that mean to us? And this is where about 60 or 70% of my customers will really be honest with me. And they'll say, look, we lost our shirts on a couple of projects and it was all because of, so some owners really open up to me, some contractors really open up to me with their own case studies. When we go through the opportunities in the middle, I don't talk about products. If you look at that list, this is about performance indicators. And what I'm trying to do around the world is to find people out there that have the same interest as I do I would just like to be world-class at measuring performance of project teams. And I'd like to really be good at leading indicators, which predict performance. And now executives will be really glad to work with me if I can help them predict whether they may have a problem in the future. That leading indicator, so that there can be intervention to keep that performance up. And so on the right, I've got just a list of things that I think belong in the in the initiative as we go forward. It includes that personal touch. But I do find executives at the highest level, it's much, much easier for them to imagine themselves saying, we're going to try to improve performance and we're going to measure it, than it is, we're going to do a BIM implementation across the company. And everybody's going to learn how to run this stuff. Well, a lot of folks don't have to know how to run it. They need to know how to manage this new process.
Can I comment on that? And this was completely unrehearsed. This piece of it, what you just said, is exactly what we've been doing at Consigli Construction. So for the last 6 or 7 years, we've been really, really fortunate to be very successful. We've been on an uphill, a great uphill curve in terms of growth and overall revenue and everything else. And honestly, it all started when we really got honest with ourselves and decided to start measuring everything that we could. And it wasn't a BIM initiative. It was just, let's measure everything we can and track what we're doing. It's something that everybody knows about. When people come in on the first day, that's what they hear. And it's just part of our culture at this point, is trying to measure everything. And it's not always easy. Sometimes it's hard. And sometimes you have to sort of step back and be honest with yourself again. But I don't think it's a coincidence that our success has been at exactly the same time that we decided to really measure our performance wherever we are.
What I like about the sound of that is when you improve, you know it. Yeah. And you can celebrate. Just like making your schedule milestones on a project. You make a milestone, you celebrate, then you go back to work. That's very interesting. Yeah. That's a mark, for me, that's a mark of the most sophisticated contractors. Is they're not talking so much about technology, they're talking about performance. Once they're talking about performance, they sooner or later say, let's measure this. And so the word that I wanted to come up with as I heard you talking is, you're beginning to harvest intelligence from the data that you have. You're measuring. This data's been sitting around forever. It's in one form or another, in one file, in one server. And so you are becoming sophisticated at harvesting this big data. So I think we are at the place where I say, I don't say thank you yet. I think we open it up for questions. I hope this has been instructive so far. What you've seen is a structured approach to evaluating the financial benefit of an initiative, and we called it BIM in the title, but the implementation may not have that much BIM in the announcement, in its name. But it really comes down to trying to harvest every penny in every phase for every stakeholder, and then calculate what's your piece and what are you willing to invest to get good at harvesting that piece.